Hi everyone, this is Apostle Lynne Hamilton here. Just wanting to say a big hello to my dear friend in Tamworth, Pastor Julie Collins, and a bunch of her new friends, for the I believe the senior citizens from Bupa, who she speaks very highly of and has a lot of fun with. So she has asked me if I would say hello to you, so here we are. She tells me that you are fans of the Prisoner Cell Block H TV show, and it's very old now. It's about 40 years old, and I am the lady who recorded the song, the theme song for it, which is called On the Inside, and I think she's probably just played you that song right now. That song is very special to me, and I'm so thrilled that you all love it. But it's more than a song to me, and if it's okay, I'll just tell you a little bit about what I did with that song and what it did with me. It was my first entry into the music industry here in Australia. And it went straight to the top of the charts. And for those of you, I'm sure you're old enough because you're senior citizens, to remember it's probably one of the biggest, well, it is one of the biggest hit songs by a female artist ever in Australia. So it won a gold record, it won the Australian Record Industry Award, it did all sorts of amazing things. But the reason it's so special to me is because when I was given that song to record, I was operating as an evangelist. I make no bones about the fact that I love Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian and I just want to spread the gospel everywhere. And I know that that was a song that God gave me to help me to do that. And so what happened was when it went to the top of the charts, I got invited to do all sorts of concerts around the nation, and the big leagues clubs. And I met a lot of people who actually did have relatives that were in jail, and so a big part of it was quite sad because it was sort of their song. They had husbands, kids, mums and dads serving sentences in jail. And the song itself is about a woman who commits what they called a crime of passion, stabs her husband, and she gets life imprisonment. And so the show was based on her story, and the fact that she was now going to be incarcerated, till the end of her life. And it was very, very sad. And so I remember at the time when that song came to me, I didn't write it, it was written by Alan Caswell, but when it was offered to me, I said to God, this is probably the most miserable song I've ever heard, God, and I'm a happy person, and couldn't you have given me something more happy clappy? And I said, it is so miserable and sad. And he said to me, well, I'm interested in sad people, and I want you to go reach them with the gospel. So that's what this song is all about. It's about being in prison, and what I would do is I would go to the clubs. The clubs is not normally the place to preach, so I had to be careful there. But I would say this, that, and I'm sure that you would agree, most of you would have lived a fairly long life by now, so you've been up and down the mountains and the valleys in your experiences, and life is not easy, and life has some very difficult seasons. And it is quite possible, and this is what I would say in the clubs, you don't have to be behind literal bars to be in prison. All sorts of things can be prisons in our lives. For example, addiction can be a prison. Debt can be a prison. Abuse, can be a prison. Depression can be a prison. You know, all sorts of things that have you bound, that you can't escape from. Sometimes, you know, other people do this to us. We find ourselves victims of their cruelty and not able to live free. Other times we flip and do it to ourselves. You know, we live life wrongly, and then we end up in a consequence, and you know, and we can be miserable because we can't escape certain things in our lives. So I would go into the clubs and I would say to people, you know, are you in prison tonight? Do you feel like you're in prison in your life? And if so, I know somebody who can set you free, and his name is Jesus Christ. And I would just preach a very mini little gospel about how he can set you free. You don't have to stay behind bars. And even if you are behind literal bars and you come to Jesus, you can get free, and maybe you can't walk out from behind the bars, but you can be free in here. That's where the freedom is, in your mind. So I just want to read something that Jesus said to you, if that's okay. It's in Luke's Gospel. And he says this in Luke's Gospel, chapter 4. And he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord." So you can see that a couple of times in those verses where Jesus says he came to set the captives free. You know, a lot of people live with oppression and depression, especially this day and age. Depression is like a plague on the face of the earth, and it's a horrible place to live. But he can set you free when you surrender your life to him. And I just want to say, that's my story. That song was a tool in my hand to be able to preach the gospel. It wasn't just a song, although it did bring me many benefits. But it was more than that. You know, God has a reason for everything he does, and he chose me to handle that song with loving care. So there you go. That's my story. I have recorded other stuff, obviously, but it's my greatest joy to tell people that Jesus can set them free. That includes you, and it certainly has included me. Hopefully next time I come to Tamworth, maybe Pastor Julie can bring me into where you are, and I'd love to meet you all in person, shake your hands and give you a hug, because I am a huggy bear, like to hug people. But meanwhile, until such time this crazy lockdown stuff ends, this COVID stuff, I guess we're all trapped temporarily, aren't we, for now? But anyway, I hope to see you before the year is out, and take care, and God bless, and thank you for loving the series Prisoner, and thank you for loving the song. And I love you even though I haven't met you yet, but take care, and God bless. Bye.